as a teacher myself, I super value your time and really appreciate you being here.
So I love STEM Hero in the work that I do, which again is specifically geared towards kids of color, kids from low-income backgrounds, is it really makes STEM education come to life in a way that I typically only see in schools that serve students from more affluent backgrounds.
First of all, STEM Hero is all about allowing students to do data inquiry that's authentic with real data. What we do then is we tap into the utility meters, the water, gas, electricity meters that are already in every single student's home, apartment building, and school. And we simply allow them to harvest data from that. We then have a software that allows them to see that data in a very simple, intuitive way that's not intimidating, allows them to safely view it. Okay, how much time do we have?
A minute and a half.
Okay. All right, come here. So I need someone. The software was built to allow students the opportunity to make mistakes. And one awesome thing about gathering data from utility meters is that, number one, a lot of them will make a mistake because it's not like super intuitive right from the get-go. A second great thing is that it's super low risk, like we can correct that pretty easily. And when you make a mistake on a reading, it's unbelievably obvious because you're either negative consumption, so it's like, whoa, negative like 800 gallons yesterday. You know, the teachers have had some funny moments where they're like, so yeah, I keep picking on Patrick. So it'd be like, Alex, so did you like put water in the, you know, like how did that work? You know, and like, does that make sense, right? Or it'll be unbelievably large. So it'll be like, whoa, you used 90 million gallons yesterday? That's like what, you know, and then the student can go, oh, adjust the decimal point, no harm, no foul. But by the way, taking precise data is important. This, you know, engineers and scientists, you can't just sort of like, you know, wing it. It's important.
It's wonderful for students to be able to use their engineering skills from a very young age and really learn what the story behind the data is telling them. And I personally feel that it's important that girls and minority children are really introduced early on to STEM and that they're able to use those skills in the real world right away, which is what STEM Hero provides for the students.
A lot of time when we hear about the STEM gap, a lot of it's about coding or software development. In fact, energy and water are expecting, you know, between a 40 and 50% of their workforce to reach retirement age in the next 10 years. What we're doing here is we're hooking students, we're explaining why it's important to be folks who think about their natural resource consumption. We actually went to the Archdiocese of Milwaukee through Marquette University, piloted this with schools around the Archdiocese to take a look at how this impacted students and their perception of STEM careers.
So what it does is it gives kids an opportunity to take the school context, which is often far removed and separated from the home context and the context that they operate in outside of the school, and it actually brings those two worlds together. So now kids are able to see that I can take STEM learning, I can take the stuff I'm talking about in math and science, and I can gather data from my lived experience and then analyze that to actually learn and become a scientist.
I want to acknowledge that we are trying to empower students in a real, authentic way. So there is some level of kind of messiness here, and that's okay, and that's actually kind of fun. It's because students, it's amazing how many times students will go, how many of you have seen a meter like that at your house? I'm pointing to this picture back here, this electricity meter. And it's so funny how students will go, oh yeah, I've got one of those on the side of my house. And another student will go, oh yeah, on the side of my house too. And they're like, yeah, man. And you know, as adults, we're like, yeah, it's on the side of everybody's house. But for students, it's like they love that commonality. Or it's not. Well, mine's on my garage. Well, that's kind of weird. What's up with that? The best way to roll out this program is for you, the teacher, to take 2 or 3 readings yourself of wherever you live. We found that actually of the 200 teachers that we've worked with, almost all of them do this anyways. And it really helps to understand how the software works, understand what your students are maybe going to experience. They will be so tickled if you would share a photo of your meter and then have them read that. They love to do things like they go, oh, Mr. W takes showers.
So then half of you designate half students to check water, half students to check electric.
that would be great.
Yeah, excellent. So that's like such a perfect segue. Another really great best practice is to put students in small groups related to, first of all, related to what type of meter they can track. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. This is a water meter, right? Water comes in the building here, and whenever somebody uses water, it passes through here. So when they start flushing the toilet, we're gonna see this thing start to turn. And then we actually used cell phones to coordinate some students going to flush the toilet so we could actually monitor whether or not, it said it uses 1.5 gallons, but how much did it actually use? And we could calculate that. And actually a teacher at Cass Elementary here in Milwaukee too was the first one who was like, why don't we have the students draw what they see? So when the students go, oftentimes what happens is they'll see a meter like that and they'll be like, whoa, lots of moving parts. I'm kind of intimidated. I don't take a reading from this. I don't know, And what we actually want to do is we just want to say, just draw what you see. When we talked to that teacher she was at Bradley Tech High School, we were like, well, it takes about 4 steps to know how to read a water meter. And she was like, oh, perfect. Like it's not too much, but at the same time, you can't fake it, right? So the water meter, this reading would be, and by the way, so everyone in Milwaukee is probably gonna have the same looking meter. So this is great to pair students because they can do this. They can teach each other. 096568.412. 0.42. That's the reading, right? So we have curriculum that lays all that out and says step 1, step 2, step 3, but I wanted to show you to sort of understand the level that we're getting at here.
So a lot of times when I'm in class or I'm teaching a class, students are like, when are we ever going to use this? When are we going to actually apply this in our lives? And STEM Hero is actually applicable from day one. Students can see their meters, they can see what they're using, their consumption, and then they're able to take that data back to the classroom or to their parents and say, look, we could reduce in these ways. I've learned this in school, the data's telling us this story of what we're using in consumption, and it's also something that students can feel good about and empowered by. And then using that and going forward, they know that they're decision makers in their lives.
You uniquely know your house. So this line showing your consumption, as a teacher, I don't know what's going on there. Like, you are the only one who knows your home, so you have to help me interpret what story is that graph showing. And so in the curriculum, we'll teach them about different opportunities for savings, and you can motivate them with specific devices, but we really want it to be up to them to be like, I want to do the shower head because I think at my house that could make a difference. And I've thought about that in a scientific way, in an engineering way. The second thing is often as teachers go, how do I motivate students? So I wanted to show you a couple things. First of all, this is the STEM Hero website. And on it are these student missions. So these are those online tutorials. We've built 4 of them at the start to build empathy and build context around this. So they all have a little video that explains what the mission is, what the students are going to do, but use those. Those are all designed to set the purpose, make it personal for students, have them get motivated in that way. We will actually be providing all of you with kits of different devices. What we love is that a student will identify, they'll be like, yeah, actually my shower head is really old and inefficient. So therefore, I'm now making a hypothesis that if I replace that shower head with an efficient model, I should see an 8% reduction. So now, here's your shower head, but a lot of times with other programs, they would give a student a shower head and go, awesome, go install that thing. And what we want to do is we actually want to leverage this as a chance to act like an engineer and scientist and not just go like, oh yeah, the book says it should reduce my usage by 8%. Why don't you actually collect data and measure it? And then come back with some really interesting conclusions about whether it did or it didn't. Or maybe we put it in and then my dad really doesn't like the lack of pressure, so we took it down. So if we were to design this better, we need to figure out a way to add more pressure to it. That's the really cool stuff that we're trying to get students to think about. Water and energy utilities love to be guest speakers. And so another way to provide motivation for students is to have one of them come in, say, hey, I've got a half an hour, can you just tell us about water and energy in Milwaukee? What's the context here? They would love to be a part of that, and I would love to help set that up if that's of interest to you.
So for me, STEM Hero is really, really powerful when teachers go, okay, here's my scope and sequence for science. I want a resource that, one, is easy to use, and two, reinforces a lot of what I'm teaching in a really powerful way. So again, if I'm a math teacher and I'm looking at interpreting graphs, graphing, collecting data, analyzing data, all those pieces, what I'm able to do with STEM Hero is pull up that curriculum, pull up the lessons, pull up the app and all of the things that come with that, and I'm able to use that as a constant reference point throughout the semester. So I may use STEM Hero to teach multiple standards, multiple objectives, because again, it's a really rich backdrop to do a lot of these things in a way that's real for kids. So it might not be like I'm just pulling it out for this specific lesson, but it's going to be like a theme and a tool that we revisit over the course of a quarter, a semester, even an entire year.